Okay, so good morning, everyone, and good to have you here once more. So we will be looking at a couple of pairs, and we're looking at for some opportunities in the market for the week. So we're going to start off by looking at the DXY. So the DXY is more or less the dollar index, right? In terms of, we'll just look at the chart for the DXY. We'll look at EURUSD. My analysis on EURUSD. I kind of like what so AUD card. I spoke about that last week in our I spoke about AUD card last week in our client only trading room, and that market has gone well as just as expected. So we'll be looking at that too as well. Somebody says my chat is blurry. I don't know, maybe it's your internet. Is everybody having the same problem? Okay, so let's begin. But before that, let us look at the economic outlook for the week. What are the major economic events or news reports for the week? So today being Monday, there are no major news in terms of medium impact or high impact news from any of the major currencies. I only pay attention to the medium to high impact news. But from Tuesday to Friday, we have somewhat of a busy week. So on Tuesday, we have some AUD news, some Euro news, and also USD PPI index. And then on Wednesday, we also have the CAD, we have the CPI from CAD, that's called Consumer Price Index. And then we also have some major impact FOMC reports and FOMC statements on Wednesday. So you want to, you definitely want to keep an eye on this. So that will be on Wednesday, the FOMC rate statement. This would be a major implication on whether we'll see the dollar push up or push down, okay? And then by 10:45 p.m. that same Wednesday, we'll have the GDP report from NZD. And then on Thursday, we also have lots of high impact news on the AUD. We have some reports from GBP, and also we have some from the USD as well, okay? So you want to keep this in mind. Remember, at least from my own perspective, I don't treat the news in itself. What I do is I pay attention to those things, especially if I have open positions. I maybe want to partial out, move my stop loss to break even, or maybe just stay away from the market at that particular time because of those spikes that may occur. Okay. Now, so with this in mind, let's go back to our charts. So we're going to start off by looking at the DXY. So the DXY is the dollar index, right? So it's more or less tracks the dollar strength against some of the major baskets. So the dollar in itself has been relatively bullish, actually very bullish for the past couple of months. It's been, trending higher since making a low back in January 2021. It has since continued to push higher, making higher highs and higher lows, clearly on the daily time frame, and even on the weekly charts, the market has been bullish. Now, where next for it? Now, remember, the reason I pay attention to this, let's take this all out. The reason I pay attention to this is not for the purpose of trading it, but it's actually to be able to understand where we are and what we could expect, whether dollar strength or dollar weakness. Now, if you were to look up into this zone, you would see that we were just more or less approaching a point of interest up here. So the price may stall. We could find this price stall a bit here because that is kind of like a major supply zone or resistant level, however it is you would like to consider it. Also, you could also see that we are trading, the market is also significantly trading within this, not necessarily clearest of channel, but from what we can see, the market is trading within this region, right? Now, what is my expectation? Long term, I still probably feel we'll still see some stronger dollar, we'll see some dollar strength, but we might see some pullbacks. Maybe we could find the dollar could maybe pull back into this zone to then push higher. So that means, and the reason I like to mention this is, well, if we see the dollar weakening, and then it would, you would see it across the dollar basket. At least you see euro dollar go down. I'm sorry, euro dollar go up, pound dollar go up, dollar CAD down, dollar yen. So a stronger dollar would mean strength for dollar against all baskets, and a weaker dollar, obviously, the inverse. So what I'll be watching for, so today being Monday, we could see the dollar give back some of this gain And then maybe within the week, we could find supports within this POI zone to then push higher. Now, this will then take us to the next pair we're going to analyze, which is the USD, Euro USD, so which is the most popular currency pair traded, Euro USD. So this one, I pointed out something. So if we go to the weekly chart, so if you look at the weekly chart here, you'll notice that we are actually trading within a very long-term structure. So notice how we've had this support. So you see how this area was support back here, price almost got to this point. We had this area served as support, and for a number of years, this trend line has kept price afloat. Conversely, you could also see how we have this resistance up here. Price has been rejecting to go above here on multiple occasions, and then we got this broke above here. So when we got this broke above the structure, I was actually more bullish than normal. And so any retest toward this area, I was looking for continuation. However, with the whole outbreak of the war between Ukraine and Russia, probably affected the market in its own sense. And our market has closed below this resistance and also just shy of this support. So we are at an influx. We are at the point where the market needs to make a decision. Then we need to just wait for the market to make a decision and then figure out what to do after that. So if we zoom in here, you could see how even though last week candle spiked down, it still closed back above that level. Now, the spike up in last week price also tapped into this previous support turned resistance and then pushed down. So in a sense, we just made an indecision candles. Buyers and sellers, we've not yet decided, and the decision will be made on the other side of the trend line. So either we break above here or we break below here, and we will see price move. Now, if we break above here, then it leaves this FOMC pocket back in July exposed. This, for some of you who have been attending my classes, you know that for a long time, I have been looking at this price pockets here as a target to go up towards, right? But I need some sort of confirmation. So if we were to find a way, if the market were to find a way to break above this resistance or this support storm resistance, and then it could expose this region. On the other hand, if we break below and close below this support and even this level here, then it will expose lower prices. Now, so what is most likely to happen, or what should you most likely be looking to do? Now, it's mostly entirely up to you. But personally, I wouldn't be looking to trade this range. The reason being that the range is too small. So if we go to the daily charts, and so if we look at the daily chart here, you would see how that area was support, down here was that area was resistance, and down here was support. Now, if we zoom in much closer, so we look at the 4-hour charts here, you would see something that I was looking at, right? So this would be like a small, short-term trade, more or less, until we are able to define the direction price wants to go towards. So this was an area I was looking out for, right? This is an area I was looking out for. Price has been making, notice how price has been making higher lows and higher highs. So since making this low here, it has since made a higher high and then a higher low to a higher high and a higher low and to a higher high. So all this could just essentially be a new low to then break out to new highs. Now, so on a smaller time trade, like in terms of intraday trading, what could you possibly be looking out for? So notice how, since making this high here, we started making lower lows and lower highs and lower lows and lower highs. However, since making this low here, we have made a higher low, and then we've in turn made a higher high. So what could you expect? So any pullback back into this zone, as long as price does not take out this low, could be a buying opportunity to make new highs. So from the way I look at this market, I feel the liquidity that is being targeted is up here. Mind you, this could also be liquidity that the market, smart money is also trying to target. But personally, I feel this could be the liquidity the market is trying to target. But you're going to need to find a way to trade it in a way that fits your own risk management system. So this structural shift here where price displays price to the upside is something I like. So I'd like to see some pullbacks back into this zone and then look to buy at least targets this highs, and if price goes up further, this high, and then eventually this high, right? So remember that this region here is around where the resistance, where we found resistance of that weekly trend line where price has been rejecting, okay? I hope that makes some sort of sense. So for today, what you should be looking out for is this, right? So we're looking out to see if probably, so let me see if I could just draw this out. So if this could be our low to high, so higher low, then so higher high, so we look for a pullback into, let's say, this sort of zone to then go higher. So this is the trade you're looking for on this side, because I wouldn't want to counter trend trade this, maybe trade this in the inverse direction. So look for the buys opportunity here and look to take this high. You could trade that however it is you want. You could draw your Fibonacci and maybe look to trade the 61.8 Fib level. However, note that your stop losses or your risk, your stop losses, should be below here if you enter a trade, and then once you get your target should be this highs or or this highs, and maybe finally this highs. Okay, so let's push further and let's go on to the next trade, the next markets. So NZD USD. So NZD USD is also another interesting one. The reason I was looking at this is, so notice how, so this is the daily chart. Notice how price has been within this channel, making, this has been more or less a bearish channel where price has been trading within, right? So price has been ranging within this channel, respecting support and resistance as it moves. Now, notice here, we had this breakout, which turned out to be a false break. Now, if there's anything you know about false break, it's false break in one direction usually leads to an aggressive move in the opposite direction. So what does that mean then? It probably means that price is most likely going to want to at least come back up to this resistance somewhere around 7,000, that's 0.7 thousand within the coming few weeks if price continues to stay constructively bullish. Now, so how can you look to participate in this? Well, remember, if we see, just like we looked at the DXY, we're looking at dollar weakness because it's at a, an area of supply or an area of resistance. So if we see a weakened dollar, it would actually support this bias for price to move up, because if dollar gets weaker against the NZD USD pair is most likely going to push higher. The only thing there is if the NZD is also not as weak. So if we drop down to the 4-hour charts here, if we were to drop down to the 4-hour chart here, we could start to look for opportunity if we are able to identify clear structure in price. But from what I can see, the structure is not as defined as I would have loved it to be, in the sense that you can see how we made a high and then we made a low, and then we seem to make a lower high and also a lower low. So this could mean that we could see some further downside probably before we eventually find support to then start making new highs, right? So for this one, wait to see if probably we get down into, so you're watching to see if probably we could, if this could be low to high, to higher low, to higher high, to higher low, to higher high, to higher low, and then higher high. Maybe we drop down into like the 61.8 Fib level of this to then make a new high. So if we were to draw our Fib, so just drawing our Fib from low to high, you'll see that we have the 61.8 Fib level just around here. So maybe price wants to drop down into that zone to then push higher. Now, for most of this trade, we'll be talking about them on my cutting edge trading room on Tuesday and on Wednesday with funded clients only. So make sure that at least you participate in those classes if you have funded your account, and if you haven't, do well to fund your account and then hook up, discuss this with your account manager to add you to my Telegram channel. Okay. Now, so for NZD USD, probably see if we could get into the 618 fib level and look for some buyer for bullish confirmation to then go higher. Now remember, you're not buying from here, so it's not about setting the pending order to buy from here. It's about waiting for price to come into this region and then watching for confirmation. Now, confirmation could be anything like a counter trend line break. It could be maybe a candlestick pattern, and maybe a bullish engulfing, bullish pin bar, something from this region, which can then serve as your confirmation bias, so that when you trade that, maybe put your stop loss just below that confirmation and then try to target the highs, right? So always, as always, make sure you use proper risk management in all your trades. Okay, so let's look at Euro AUD. So that was the one on my chart initially. So Euro AUD, Euro AUD is one where we've been looking at this for quite some time. And so let me just, so you could see how the market fell sharply, price fell almost in a straight line, dropping, straight down, right? And since doing this, notice how we seem to have found a low price here. So let me just adjust this a little so you can see the spike down. So you can see where we had this low price down here. Price made this low, so it came from this high to this low. Now, if this was to be, so if Fibonacci, if this were A, right, and this would be B, we could expect price to come back and find C to then probably make a new D, right? So price could want to push back up to one of these regions. So I'm looking at this area, or maybe all the way up to this area. And since this is a daily chart and this is a huge move, we could look to trade the counter trend. Now, the reason I'm calling this counter trend is this. So notice that if I zoom out, notice that clearly the market has been bearish. The market has been bearish at least for the longest of time. Since making this high, it's been making at least lows to high, to lows to high, to low, to high, and then low. So maybe we just want to push back up to make a new low to then go back down and find these pockets. However, I'm looking to participate in this push up here to see if, actually I am participating already, but to see if we can take this to new higher prices, okay? So now the question is, how do we participate? So we're going to probably need to do that on much smaller time frame, like let's say the 4-hour or the 1-hour chart. And then in this time frame, I would want to see some structural shift, right? So notice that we have been making higher lows and higher highs from this area on the 1-hour charts. And right now, price needs to clear these highs, right? So these highs need to be cleared if we're going to continue pushing higher, right? So yes, I like the fact that we made lows to high, higher highs and higher lows. So it's like, so if anybody who understands Elliott wave strategy, we've gone from, we've done our 5 waves. So Elliott wave says we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we push back 1, 2, 3, right? And then maybe continue the overall trend. So that could be what we are doing here, where we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this could be wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. And then it completes that move, and then price push back down 1, 2, 3 to then continue higher. Okay, so if that were to be the case, then it means that price needs to clear this high, and this needs to be our protected low, right? So in that case, what I would like to see is for price to take out this high, make a new high, and then look for buying opportunity. If we pull back down into this zone, maybe somewhere like here, look to participate as a buyer, somewhere within this region, and then take it to new highs, okay? So we'll be looking at this. The euro seems to be strong this Monday, and then the AUD seems to be quite weak as well, okay? So also AUD card. So this one I spoke about on our cutting edge trading room class last week Wednesday, right? So some of you who were on that classes, I'm sure you remember this, and you remember me giving out this trade. At the time, price was at the time I discussed this, price was just around this region, right? And then I was looking at this area as an area of interest for me to sell from. I needed some sort of confirmation. We had the breakdown here. So this was where market displaced price. We had this low price here that was displaced with this movement. And then I looked to sell here. So this was, I had an entry here. I was looking to have another entry here, but price did not come back up here. So I have one trade here and another trade here. And overall, you could see where my targets for that one is down here, and it was all based on the harmonic pattern. So if you for those of you who understand harmonics, you could see my harmonic butterfly pattern I was looking at. You see how price has made a wave-like pattern, and then it needs to complete it by pushing back into maybe the 50% fib level, or maybe the 61.8 fib level, to then maybe push back up. So that was the reason why I was participating as a seller here, trying to take this down. Now, there might or might not be opportunity to join in on this trade, because you can see that since tapping into this area, price has fallen off the cliff. If we get pullbacks up into this zone, it could provide selling opportunities. But with the way price is pushing down, we may not get that pullback. If we don't get the pullback and price just, continues to go down, don't chase the market. Don't try to catch a falling knife. If you get a pullback, yeah, fine, you can trade that. Maybe you have a trend line to watch for the trend line to break, sell on the other side and take this down. If price does not give you a pullback, and just keeps going down, the moment price gets to this area, then that whole outlook is negated, because any pushback up could just be a continuation, and you don't want to be selling when price is more interested in going up. Okay. Okay, so that is that on AUD CAD. We're going to also look at GBP USD. So GBP USD, for some of you who have also been joining my weekly market outlook classes for a number of times, you would know that this was one of the, this so far, I think between GBP USD and GBP NZD, they've been my trade of the year so far. We were selling from all the way up here, and at the time when I discussed this, price was all the way here, right? And this is not it's not in hindsight. If you go back to the YouTube channel, you see those videos. Some of you who were live in these classes, you remember what I pointed out, that we're going to take out this low, and because essentially price has been bearish. And so since making this high here, price has since then just kept moving lower. And I have capitalized on this, trading this all the way down. Now, what is the next step for this, right? Now, just a brief overview. I feel price would definitely want to come back to this 2020 missed pivot. So this is a missed pivot on this pair, and I feel price might want to get down here, but it may not go down straight from here. It could, but it might not do that. But here is the reason why I've been bearish. So you can see how price is making lower lows. So all these places, price has been pushing higher, 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 higher until it gets to this point. And then you see how price made this low to then make a lower high, and then made a lower low to a lower high to a lower low, and then a lower high. So price has clearly been bearish. So when we started pushing back all the way up here, I was looking for buying opportunities around this zone. And when we got the confirmation from here, started selling, and my target was the liquidity that rests below this low. Sure enough, price has taken it out. Now I am expecting some sort of pullbacks to then complete this move here. I feel price might want to just complete this move, and obviously this will take a while, because remember, this trade I called back here was in January, and it had to take from January to March for the whole trade to play out, right? So this pushback up, if it does, price may push back up straight up, or the market may just, not want to do that and just complete the move before going back up. So whichever case, we will be looking, at least I will be looking at participating in that. But I need some sort of reason to start looking for buying opportunities to go long, because right now my interest is in looking for confirmation to go long, hoping to find the protected low price here. So if we drop down to the 1 hour charts, you could see some trades I took here. These ones ended up in losses, few losses. So we had this breakup. You could see, let me try and explain this one. So I had a trade here that did not play out. I partialed out anyway. That was not a loss. However, this one's here, I was looking to buy. No, price did not respect there. Now, what I want to see here now is this. Notice that you can see that price is making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then it made this high. So this higher high was the reason I was looking to buy. But turns out that was not to be respected, and price made a lower low and then a lower high and a lower low. So what I would like to see now is for price to make a new high and then make a low that is higher than the previous one, which is where I'll start being interested in participating as a buyer. But until then, so this now is what I will be looking out for. Let's see, has it displaced price? I don't think it has. So I would like to see price close above here, right? So this would be my displacement, right? I'd like to see price close above here while staying above this low. I don't want to see price. I don't want to see price come back down, take out this low. No, I would like to see price take out this high, and when it does, I will be looking to buy if price were to come back down here. So if price were to take out this high and then push back down here, I'll be looking to buy. Keep my stop loss tight. And then remember, we're looking at the long-term bias of this, right? So if this was where we entered from, so let me clear this out. So this is what, if it were to play out, this is what the trade is going to look like. Let's say we get that, trade. Well, it will look something like this, right? Now remember, we drop down to the lower time frame to look for the structural shift. However, the main reason we're looking at this is based on the higher time frame bias, right? And so this would be the kind of trade I'm looking out for, which will turn out to be something like a 1:78 risk to reward ratio. So this is the reason why, I'm not worried about making a few losses, because I know that I use proper risk management. Like for example, this trade here was like a 1:, I think, let's see. I think it was something like a 1:50 something or thereabouts, because I looked for entry on the smaller time frame, even but my overall bias or criteria is based on the higher time frame. So sure, I partialed out along the way. I didn't just hold all the trades from here. I took some partials along the way, but all in all, I took full profits at just below this low here. So this was the candle that gave me full profit on the move that I started from here. I also participated also when the price pushed back up into this zone to then move lower. So for now, what I would like to see is a structural shift. I want to see price close above this area I marked displacement, and then maybe push back down. So for price to maybe push back up, close above here, and then push back down into something like this, and then I'll be looking to trade this higher. Okay. Obviously, I will partial out along the way, but my overall targets would be all the way up here, right? I think that's on GBP USD. And then finally, I'm going to talk about GBP NZD. Quite similar to GBP USD. So GBP NZD, okay, let's see. This was one I was looking at this morning, and I think I need to. So let's do a top-down analysis. Start from the higher. So some of you also would remember I had this trade called out, and this was a very massive trade for me. It was like 1:100 risk to reward ratio. I'm sure I partialed out a lot of the time along the way. I still have some open position here, but not much. I've taken much of the skin off the game. But right now, I'm looking to see if we can continue pushing higher. Now, the reason is this. So if we zoom out, you'll notice something, right? Notice that, so let me hide all of this. So notice that, since making this low here, price has just been making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And then we ranged a bit here and pushed back down to then continue higher. So if you were to look at this in form of Elliott wave, this could be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we ranged a bit, did 1, 2, 3 to then push higher. Okay, so now, but the important thing is this, from making this low, price went on to make this high. And notice how this high displaced this top here. So what that means is buyers, the impulse is bullish, right? So even though we're looking for this sell opportunity that turned out to be very, very nice and very, very profitable, as long as price does not close below this low, there's a very strong probability that price will take out this high, right? And so right now, all I'm looking for is some sort of confirmation on a smaller time frame to then participate to see if we can trade this higher. Now, if price wants to take out this low, well, that'll be fine. I will then be looking for opportunities to sell and take this lower, right? But until price takes out this low here, the most likely outcome is we're going to push higher. Now, there are other reasons why we also need to push higher is the fact that price is very imbalanced. Notice how the market, fell in such a straight line, right? Market fell down and, fell like, like gravity. So most likely the market always likes to balance itself, right? And in order to balance, the market needs to at least pull back. Even if it wants to continue going down, it should be pulling back up to maybe go down further, or maybe you should just pull back up to then continue the overall trend higher. So what does that mean for me then? Well, I want to look for opportunities, small opportunities to participate, because I like this zone specifically, opportunities to participate and see if we could trade this back up. Now, all of these trades that I called here, I will be explaining most of them in details. We'll be looking for entries. I'll be looking for some live trade if possible on our client-only sessions, which will be tomorrow, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, where we'll look at all the pairs and then look for opportunities in them. So if you want to see more of that, definitely do join me on my live trading rooms, okay, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays by 11 a.m. And remember, to join those classes, you have to have a funded account with Answer Capital. But for now, that is the much I will take on GBP USD. I quite like the look of this one. Actually, I quite like the look of this one. This could be a trade you could look to take. Now, obviously, remember, this is not financial advice. We have tapped into the region I liked. This could be a trade you could look to take. This is already like a 1:5. And long term, you could be targeting this area here. So I like this one. Let me even drop down further. So let's look at the 30-minute chart. I'm looking for some sort of confirmation. Y-curve accumulation. So what I'd like to see is some Y-curve accumulation within here. So weak to strong hand transfer to then push higher. So I think that sort of confirmation would be for price to take out this high. So for price to displace this high and make a new high, and then I would look to buy on the retest. So let's say price does this, take out this high, I would look for opportunities for the retest and then buy, and then take this higher. Okay, so that is one. If you're aggressive, sure, you can buy from here, put your stop loss down below and try to make new highs. Obviously, remember to use proper risk management because all trading carries risk. Okay, I think that's about it for now. We've had some good trade setups. We have some good trade setup for the week. A lot more I'll be discussing in my classes tomorrow and next as they develop properly. But for now, I think that's about it. Anybody wants me to look at any particular currency pair, just briefly, while we're live, before we call it a day. So I'm going to be ending the recording actually for today. So remember, this recording will be available on the YouTube channel. You could easily go there. It's Noah FX Pro on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch the recording of this, okay?